Welcome back to Melissa Arsenal Analyst, the channel where we cut through the noise and give you the full picture on everything happening at Arsenal Football Club. Today is one of those days where the news just does not stop coming. We have injury updates, transfer rumours, manager reactions, player form debates, dressing room reports, and some statistics that will genuinely stop you in your tracks. So settle in, because we have a lot to get through and every single piece of it matters for where this club goes from here. Let us start with the atmosphere, because that tells you everything about where Arsenal are right now as a football club. Tyler Adams, the Bournemouth midfielder, spoke openly about what it felt like to play at the Emirates Stadium during Bournemouth's 2-1 victory over the Gunners. His words were precise and, if you are honest with yourself as an Arsenal supporter, they were difficult to hear. Adams described certain moments during the game where he was thinking to himself, why is it so quiet in here? He noted that early on, when Arsenal were trying to play out from the back, there was a sense of nervousness around the stadium. He said it takes one little error and the fans get a bit nervous. He described it as a difficult atmosphere to play and thrive in when you are trying to chase a championship. He acknowledged that as an away team, hearing that kind of tension from the home crowd is the best possible thing. He said that at certain moments, with the momentum swinging, it almost felt like a home game for Bournemouth. Now, let us be serious for a moment. Adams was not being disrespectful. He was being honest, and that honesty is the kind of analysis that Arsenal as a club need to sit with. The Emirates has had a nervous energy this season, and when results do not go the right way, that nervousness feeds into the players on the pitch. Adams identified exactly what opponents look to exploit. The situation is that a football stadium can either be a fortress or a burden, and right now, at the most important stage of the season, the Emirates has shown signs of becoming the latter. Goes beyond one defeat. Arsenal are in a Premier League title race that is tightening. They are simultaneously competing in the UEFA Champions League against Atletico Madrid. Injuries to key players have been relentless. And now the atmosphere inside their own ground is being described by opponents as an advantage to the away side. The evidence suggests that when pressure builds at Arsenal, it does not just affect the players, it affects the entire environment around the club. That is a fragile situation at the worst possible time of the season. If you want deeper analysis on stories like this, on what is really happening at Arsenal beyond the headlines, then hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell. Every day we break down the full picture so you never have to guess what is actually going on at this football club. Let us now move through everything that is happening at Arsenal today, story by story. Injury updates, starting with the most immediately important news, because Arsenal's ability to finish this season strongly depends entirely on getting key players fit. There is optimism at the club that Ibrahim Timber will return ahead of the Newcastle United fixture this week, joining Bukayo Saka in making it back from injury. This is significant. It means Arsenal could potentially have two major players returning for what is a crucial Premier League match at the Emirates. The reality for the club is that Saka's return alone would transform the side. The numbers here are impossible to argue with. Arsenal's win ratio with Saka starting this season is 73%, which works out to 2.36 points per game. Without Saka in the starting lineup, that win ratio drops to 45% and just 1.64 points per game. Those are not small differences. That is the gap between a title-winning team and a mid-table points return. Saka's presence does not just improve Arsenal, it fundamentally changes what they are. Now combine Saka's return with Timber coming back, and you start to see a more complete Arsenal. Timber brings defensive solidity and the ability to contribute going forward from the left side. His return would give Mikel Arteta more options and more balance. On top of that, there is a positive update on Riccardo Calafiori. The Italian defender is set to return to full first-team training this week and is in contention for the Newcastle game at the Emirates on Saturday. Calafiori's return matters not only for defensive cover, but for Arsenal's ability to play out from the back with confidence. So as things stand, heading into the Newcastle match, Arsenal could have Saka, Timber and Calafiori all available. That is a very different picture to what we have seen in recent weeks. However, the situation with Mikel Merino is less straightforward. Merino is progressing well after surgery and was seen without crutches at Arsenal's training ground. He is expected to start running again in 2 to 3 weeks. If his recovery stays on track, he should be available for Spain's national team for their summer schedule ahead of the World Cup. As for Arsenal, there is no clear indication yet whether Merino will feature again this season, but it is noted clearly that if he does make it back, it would be a timely boost in the title run-in. The evidence suggests that Arteta is slowly getting his squad back together at exactly the right moment. Whether it is in time to change the trajectory of their season remains the central question. Pep Guardiola reacts. Now let us talk about the reactions coming out of Manchester City, because they have been revealing in more ways than one. Guardiola addressed Declan Rice's post-match declaration after the loss to City. Rice said 3 words into the camera at full time: "It is not done." And rather than dismissing that defiance, Guardiola welcomed it. He said, "I love that. That is why Arsenal are there. It shows what Declan Rice means. That is the Arsenal mentality. We have faced it in the Premier League and the Carabao Cup. We know how competitive they are." Guardiola went further, saying that in bad moments, Arsenal have the resilience to say, "We are there, we are there." He called it a good example of what City would have to face in the title race. Now, here is why this matters. When the manager of your closest title rival publicly respects your determination after a defeat, that is not a compliment that is handed out carelessly. Guardiola is telling his own players, do not think this is over. He is reinforcing the danger, Arsenal still present. That is the clearest possible signal that the title race, from City's perspective, is not yet decided either. Guardiola also addressed the narrow nature of the game between City and Arsenal directly. He pointed out that if Kai Havertz had scored his late header, the narrative would have flipped completely. He said, "I know perfectly what would our mentality be. They do not have composure. It is not an experienced team." He referenced both sides hitting the woodwork twice and described the game as so tight, adding that the margins define many, many things. The situation is clear. City won, but they know exactly how close Arsenal came to changing the entire atmosphere around this title race. The margins are so fine that one moment in either direction could have rewritten everything. Guardiola also backed Erling Haaland in his physical confrontation with Gabriel, saying he is proud of Haaland's reaction and that Haaland stayed honest. He confirmed that City can go top with a win over Burnley, but insists the focus is purely on winning those 3 points, not chasing goal difference. Dressing room and leadership. Moving to a story that has been generating significant discussion, the question of Martin Odegaard's standing within the Arsenal dressing room. The situation is that there has been external noise around Odegaard this season. Questions about his form, questions about his captaincy. There was even a rumour circulating about a rift between him and Mikel Arteta. So it is important to address what is actually known about the reality inside the club. Journalist James Olley, speaking on a podcast, was direct about this. He dismissed any suggestion that Odegaard is not valued as captain. Olley confirmed that the Norwegian international is held in very high regard around Arsenal's Colney training ground. He stated clearly, "I know he is very, very highly respected behind the scenes." Olley went further and acknowledged that what he was saying might sound vague to outsiders, but he was specific about the impact. Odegaard has been really important for the culture of that squad and for how the dressing room has transformed from being what Olley described as quite a disparate, fractured group into a united team in pursuit of one goal. Arteta himself recently praised Odegaard publicly for his ability to glue the team together. That kind of statement from a manager does not come unless it reflects genuine belief. Now, the analytical reality here is this. Odegaard's statistics have dipped this season. He has been involved in only 8 goals, which is a significant drop from his previous output. That is a fact that cannot be ignored, and the speculation that he could be replaced in the summer with a more creative midfielder has gathered genuine momentum. Chelsea's Cole Palmer has been mentioned as a potential replacement, which gives you an idea of the level being discussed. The evidence suggests there are 2 separate conversations happening at once. One is about Odegaard's dressing room value, which remains high and undisputed internally. The other is about his on-field output, which has declined and will shape decisions in the summer transfer window. Both things can be true at the same time. Jamie Carragher and the Atletico Madrid factor. Jamie Carragher offered a measured but honest assessment of what Arsenal are facing. He said he does not think Arsenal will be expected to win all their remaining games, and he acknowledged that their remaining Premier League fixtures look more manageable than they might have expected. But then came the key point. Carragher said the Atletico Madrid Champions League games could take a lot out of Arsenal physically and mentally. He was specific. He said it is not just about ability when watching Arsenal right now. It is about how they physically feel. He said it is not going to be easy. The situation is straightforward. Arsenal are fighting on multiple fronts at the same time. Every game against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League drains energy that cannot be fully recovered before the next Premier League match. Carragher is highlighting that this physical and mental cost is real and measurable, and it could determine whether Arsenal have enough left to close out the title. The Opta data and the bigger picture. Opta analysts released a fascinating statistic that deserves serious attention. Since Mikel Arteta was appointed Arsenal manager in December of 2019, only Liverpool, with 620 days, have spent more time at the top of the Premier League than Arsenal, who have spent 539 days as leaders. Manchester City are third on 453 days. Critically, it is noted that almost 100 of Liverpool's days at the top included the COVID-enforced break in 2020, which distorts that figure somewhat. The evidence here tells a profound story. Under Arteta, Arsenal have been the second most dominant team in English football by this measure. They have spent more time leading the division than City. And yet the question that sits beneath all of this is whether they will be at the top when the final whistle blows on the last day of the season. This is the great tension at Arsenal under Arteta. The platform has been built, the consistency has been there, the culture has transformed, but the title has not arrived. And right now that question hangs over everything. The transfer picture, now let us turn to the transfer window activity, which is gathering serious momentum, starting with the incoming rumours. Per El Nacional, Mikel Arteta has personally encouraged Real Madrid left-back Alvaro Carreras to join Arsenal this summer, promising him a starring role at the Emirates. The 23-year-old Spaniard has made 25 La Liga appearances this season, scoring 2 goals and providing 2 assists. He is valued at €60 million and is contracted to Real Madrid until 2031. This is currently a rumour, and it is important to be clear about that. No deal has been agreed, but the personal involvement of Arteta in the approach, if accurate, signals how seriously Arsenal view the left-back position as a priority for the summer. On Ibrahim Mazar, reports from Germany suggest Arsenal have told representatives of Bayer Leverkusen that they will make an offer of €40 million for the Algerian attacking midfielder this summer. Mazar is an attacking midfielder with Leverkusen. Again, this is a reported rumour, not a confirmed deal. But €40 million for a player operating in the Bundesliga with Leverkusen represents genuine intent if confirmed. There is also reported interest in Bernardo Silva on a free transfer. Silva has confirmed he will leave Manchester City this summer after 9 trophy-laden years at the club. Barcelona and Juventus are currently leading the race for his signature. Arsenal are monitoring the situation. This is purely at the monitoring stage, and it should be treated as exactly that. A free transfer for a player of Silva's quality and experience would represent extraordinary value, but the competition from Barcelona and Juventus is substantial. Now, on the outgoing side, the situation with Leandro Trossard is notable. The reality for the club is that Trossard's contract situation is making a departure more likely. Napoli are currently leading the race for his signature and are reportedly prepared to offer around €18 million. Inter Milan are also monitoring the situation. Trossard himself is said to be open to the move, with the idea of playing a key role in Naples seen as attractive. €18 million for Trossard, if that is where his valuation has landed, would represent a modest return for a player who has contributed to the squad. But contract dynamics change leverage, and the evidence suggests Arsenal may be prepared to move him on. 16-year-old academy product Marley Salmon is set to sign his first professional contract with Arsenal when he turns 17 in August. Old Salmon has already broken into the first team, featuring in the UEFA Champions League and the FA Cup. He became one of Arsenal's youngest ever European debutants. He has been an academy product since the age of 9 and follows Max Dowman in securing a future at the club after a strong early breakthrough. This is wonderful news for the long-term health of the club, and it is a reminder that Arteta's rebuild goes beyond the first team. The academy is producing players capable of contributing at the highest level while still teenagers. The deep analyses on Anthony Gordon. Now let us get into the more complex transfer debate, because this one requires careful thinking. Anthony Gordon of Newcastle United has been linked strongly with a move to Arsenal. The interest is described as genuine, with several players being considered for the wide left position. And no decision has been taken on who the primary target will be. The performance data makes for interesting reading. In terms of Premier League goals, since Gordon's first full season at Newcastle in 2023-24, he has scored 23 goals. For context, Leandro Trossard has 25, Eberechi Eze has 25, and Bukayo Saka has 28. Noni Madueke has 14, and Gabriel Martinelli has 15. So Gordon sits ahead of Arsenal's current wide options on that measure. In terms of assists, Gordon has 17. Only Saka, who has 22, beats him from that group. His shot conversion rate stands at 12.2%, which is better than Saka at 11.8, Martinelli at 10.8, Madueke at 10.6 and Eze at 10.6. Only Trossard at 14.2 beats him there. On creativity, Gordon has created 27 big chances, Saka leads that group significantly with 45, but every other Arsenal forward falls below Gordon. Defensively, his tackles per 90, interceptions per 90 and duels won per 90 are all in a similar band to the Arsenal forwards being compared. He wins 2.2 fouls per game, matching only Saka from that group, which is noted as valuable given how important set pieces are to this Arsenal team. On availability, Gordon has never missed 4 consecutive matches through injury across club and country. The honest analytical assessment is that Gordon would improve Arsenal's left side. He is better than Trossard by this data set. He is better than Martinelli. The reported fee of around £75 million is where doubt enters the conversation. The concern is not whether Gordon is a good player. The concern is whether he is the level of player that genuinely elevates Arsenal to the very top of European football. The names mentioned as the kind of player Arsenal truly need on the left include Kavicha, Kvaratskhelia, Luis Diaz, Vinicius Jr. and Rafinha. Those are elite, game-changing wide players. The question being raised is whether Gordon, despite his quality, reaches that standard. The alternative candidates mentioned for the left-wing position include Jan Diomande of RB Leipzig, Kenan Yildiz of Juventus and Said El Mala of Cologne. These are considered younger options with higher potential ceilings and potentially more affordable price points. The internal solution being highlighted is Eberechi Eze, currently at Arsenal. The preferred approach would be to invest more time in Eze on the left, add one of those younger starlets to compete for minutes, and allow Eze to push into a central role when the tactical situation calls for it. The situation is this: Arsenal need a decision that does not just fill a position for 1 or 2 seasons. They need a decision that helps them close the gap to being genuinely elite at every position on the pitch. The Gordon debate is not about whether he is good enough. It is about whether he is the right kind of good enough for what Arsenal are trying to become. Joe Cole and the Gyökeres debate. Joe Cole made a striking claim on a podcast. He said that if Arsenal had signed Hugo Ekitike instead of Victor Gyökeres last summer, they would have won the Premier League by now. His exact words were that Gyökeres was the big signing, and if Arsenal do not win anything, they have got that signing wrong. He argued that heading into the biggest game of the season, Arsenal went with 2 number 10s in Havertz and Odegaard without a natural number 9. He praised Havertz as brilliant, but said Ekitike is, in his words, a proper player. The evidence on this point is mixed and complex. The reality for the club is that Gyökeres arrived as a marquee signing, and the partnership between him, Havertz and the existing squad has not produced the transformative effect that was hoped for. Injuries to other key players throughout the season have further complicated things. Whether a different striker choice would have definitively changed the outcome is an argument that cannot be proven, but Cole is not alone in raising questions about whether the summer investment delivered what Arsenal needed at the top of the pitch. Let us bring everything together. Arsenal are at an inflection point. Every single story we have covered today points toward the same underlying truth. This is a football club that has built something genuinely impressive under Mikel Arteta. The 539 days spent at the top of the Premier League since his appointment is not an accident. The cultural transformation that Odegaard is credited with helping deliver is not fiction. The quality and depth that is now returning from injury is a real advantage. But the fine margins are relentless. The atmosphere at the Emirates has shown vulnerability. The forward line investment has drawn scrutiny. The left-wing position needs serious reinforcement this summer. The title has not been won despite every opportunity. Coming up in the next few days, the return of Saka, potentially Timber and Calafiori alongside the Newcastle United fixture will tell us a great deal about where this Arsenal side truly are mentally and physically as they approach the final stretch. The evidence suggests this squad has the character to respond. Declan Rice saying it is not done at full time after a difficult defeat is the kind of statement that comes from somewhere real. And the fact that Pep Guardiola himself chose to highlight and respect that determination tells you everything you need to know about how Arsenal are still viewed by their rivals. This title race is not done. The challenge is enormous. But for this Arsenal team, under this manager, that is exactly the kind of test they have been building toward for 3 years. Stay locked in. Do not miss a single update. That is the full analysis for today. I am Melissa, and this is Melissa, Arsenal Analyst. If this kind of deep breakdown is what you are looking for, subscribe right now, leave a comment below telling me your thoughts on the transfer priorities this summer, and share this video with every Arsenal supporter you know. We will be back with more as soon as the news breaks. Thank you for watching.